Good morning. Federal Judge James Boasberg in Washington says he's on the verge of holding the Trump administration in contempt for continuing to ignore his order that the migrants, alleged gang members who were shipped off to El Salvador a month ago before he'd had a chance to consider the action, should be returned to the U.S. for some kind of due process. And the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia took a turn yesterday with Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen going to San Salvador and meeting with the El Salvadoran vice president. He held a news conference near the prison afterwards. It was a bit comical as the local media microphones did a wave from Van Hollen speaking to a Spanish translation behind him. I've edited that down via Van Hollen's own live YouTube feed as he discussed what he told the vice president.
I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he was not able to make that happen. I asked him if I came back next week whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either a video phone or just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he could not arrange that.
The White House and Republicans are howling that Van Hollen would use taxpayer dollars to go down to El Salvador and come away with a media moment. A couple of weeks ago, however, Democrats were denouncing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem for being able to go into the prison and make a video in front of a crowded cell as some kind of warning about gangs and self-deportation and not entering the U.S. illegally. The White House did put out police reports that showed an investigation into Kilmar Abrego Garcia as a gang member, though he was never arrested or charged. They also put out his wife's filing for a protective order against him, though she withdrew, now saying it was proactive since she'd been in an abusive relationship with someone else before. Now comes word other Democrats may try to make a similar trip to El Salvador. The larger issue, of course, is whether the couple plane loads of alleged gang members should have been sent off without anyone aboard getting a chance to contest it legally, and that's where Judge Boasberg's threat of contempt comes into play. The president is railing this morning on Truth Social about Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, making a speech in Chicago Wednesday, warning that tariffs will be a possible serious drag on growth while spawning higher inflation. The president says Powell's termination can't come soon enough. Technically, he's not allowed to fire Powell owing to the notion of Fed independence. And by the way, Mr. Trump likes to say the U.S. is taking in as much as $2 billion a day in tariff money already. However, Business Insider reports that a straightforward tote from Customs and Border Patrol shows the average day right now brings in $250 to $275 million. The administration is upping its fight with Harvard, the IRS now threatening to revoke its tax-exempt status, and DHS saying it might prevent foreign students from getting student visas to the famed university where about a quarter of the students are from other nations. Now, let me close by saying, going after the media, universities, and migrants, plus ignoring the courts, sounds a lot like what's happened recently in places like Hungary, Turkey, and even El Salvador. With ear on the White House, I'm Bob Costantini.